Judicial Watch has pretty much gotten everything you know about the Wuhan Institute publicly, more or less, in the last 4 or 5 months as a result of Judicial Watch's litigation, whether it be the fund either directly or through pressure. The other big issue that we're not allowed to talk about is COVID. I say COVID now, it means that this video is going to be suppressed automatically by Facebook, YouTube, and all the rest. That's the way it is now. Even though Judicial Watch is challenging misconduct by what I would allege to be misconduct by the Biden administration, who has taken steps to cover up the origins of the COVID virus. How do I mean that? Well, there was an investigation that had been initiated by the Trump administration through the State Department, and a national security related investigation that was allegedly shut down by the Biden gang. And we sued for information about that investigation. We filed a FOIA lawsuit against the Department of State for records related to an investigation into the origins of COVID by, quote, the Bureau of Arms Control and Verification. See, one of the angles of COVID that I at least been concerned about, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask the question, is that, we've kind of limited the discussion to 3 things. Was COVID, or did it have what is called a zoonological origin, meaning that it came from nature? Was it the result of a natural virus that was collected by a scientist in China or somewhere, the Wuhan Institute is obviously the institute that was focusing on coronavirus bat research, and then it somehow leaked from there? Or was it the result of gain of function research that was going on and being funded by our government, it looks like? And that resulted in the creation of COVID-19, and it was released accidentally. But the fourth thing that I would also suggest is, it was a part of a bioweapons program. I don't know, maybe. The Chinese are covering everything up, so we're allowed to ask the question, aren't we? And I don't have the answer to it. I tend to think, my instinct is on this, that it was an accidental leak that the Chinese took advantage of. It was a happy accident. That's my gut. But again, I don't have information to suggest that's true one way or another. It's just, looking at what everything is out there that's public, and and just assuming some, basic, looking at what I believe to be the motivations often of the Chinese communists that want to destroy America, why it might be more than just an accidental leak that was covered up, that it was purposely covered up because they knew what the consequences would be, and they were happy with those consequences, meaning the decimation of Western world. That was their goal, and they got it with the help of a lot of Westerners, unfortunately. So I got distracted there because I went off about my theory of the COVID case. But this group had done an investigation. They were behind a conclusion in January of 2020, just before President Trump left, that there was suspicion that it came from Wuhan Institute. There was reason to believe it happened. And the Biden administration came in and shut down, it's alleged, that whole process to investigate this. Again, this is a national security type investigation. And there's a reason when I say Bureau of Arms Control and Verification, that raises questions. Was it a biological weapon, doesn't it? Well, why would that group be investigating it? So we asked for, beginning in May of 2021, so this has been around for a few months, this request, all records regarding the investigation into the origins of SARS-CoV-2 virus and COVID-19 by the Bureau of Arms Control and Verification. So this is a State Department entity. And we wanted all reports created pursuant to the investigation, all related to the actual proposed termination of the investigation, all related records of communications between any official, employee, or representative of the Department of State. This includes communications with any official of WHO, the government of China, or any other branch of government of the United States. So we wanted it all. That's why I read you some of our FOIA requests. Because our investigators, when you're doing this for as long as we're doing it, and our lawyers as well, because they obviously help us on creating and crafting requests as well, you know what to ask for and how to ask for it. So I'm really proud of the product, the work product here, because and plus it's so essential. I mean, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to America, right? In some ways, right? I would argue the response to COVID was worse than COVID, but we can debate that. But either way, it was terrible. So, this is what I also love about Judicial Watch. So I read the story about this entity, this investigation being shut down. Everyone else in town probably read the story if they're following the news. Maybe you read the story. You remember it, right? It was back in May, April, May. But you'd be surprised that these issues that it's like, oh, well, there's a scandal there. Isn't there anyone looking into it? No, that's not what happens. You have major developments, major news, major corruption issues emerging, and then the media drop it, Congress drops it, no one asks any questions. And so people say, well, Judicial Watch, you're great. How do you do all this? Well, a lot of it is, well, we'll read the newspaper and ask follow-up questions. We do the heavy lifting that Congress refuses to do, that the media refuses to do. And it's not rocket science in the sense that it's an obviously important issue, but I guess it's brilliance here in Washington, D.C., because no one wants to do that sort of work. And I'm going to praise Judicial Watch here because I don't do it enough, frankly. It's our courage. It's our strength. It's our persistence. We don't give up. Obviously, the courts say no sometimes, and we have to give up. But we keep on pushing. And this is the guy who evidently was working. Let me open up to it here. This is what he said about the whole situation. So the Biden administration says they didn't shut anything down. They ended their work and other people are looking at it. Well, others disagree. So there's a debate there. And that's why these documents are important, because they show what they show. Is it true? Because one bureaucrat said, I saw what they were doing. I didn't think it was credible. So I told them, so I didn't like it. So this is Fox News. Fox News reported that David Asher, who had a history of investigative work tracking money for AQ Khan's, the AQ Khan network, which was the Pakistani who was pushing nuclear material or technology out of Pakistan, North Korea's nuclear program, and top al-Qaeda leaders, was the contractor leading the investigation. Ford was one of the officials at the State Department who sought to block his and his team's efforts. In a statement to Fox News, Asher defended the investigation and said that at the time, some State Department colleagues were deliberately playing down possible links to China's biological weapons program. It is U.S. law to engage in effective arms control and non-proliferation, not facilitate it via scientific cooperation, quote unquote, in the name of threat reduction or refusal to engage in effective compliance with communist countries that openly aim to incorporate synthetic biology, gain-of-function research, into the future of warfare, apparently with our naive material and scientific assistance. This guy Asher knows what he's talking about. I mean, I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of a bureaucratic fight with someone who's so evidently brilliant. We don't know for certain what happened in Wuhan. Like I said, we don't know for certain because the Chinese have covered it up. But we've had every reason to investigate and ask questions. As the State Department's January 15 statement said, and as additional disclosures and expert analyses of the last few months have underscored, there is probable cause for deep suspicion. So again, that was that memo that said that the Wuhan Institute of Virology collaborated on secret projects with China's military. So, Judicial Watch has pretty much gotten everything you know about the Wuhan Institute publicly, more or less, in the last 4 or 5 months as a result of Judicial Watch's litigation. Whether it be the fund, either directly or through pressure. Because they either release it to others or they give it to us because of our lawsuits. I know that's the case. So as Asher said later, as the State Department in the last months of the last administration, Trump administration, at the State Department in the last months of the last administration, we didn't draw or assert any conclusions, but we worked successfully to reveal certain facts and raise significant questions about the clear plausibility of a lab leak origin. This is a global public service, and it is good that experts and journalists are increasingly turning their own attention to the issue, albeit belatedly. So Judicial Watch wasn't belated about it because Judicial Watch started asking about China and COVID immediately. Unlike the rest of the, frankly, I call it, it's either compromised or incompetent. You pick your words. But the media didn't want to do the work, but Congress didn't want to do the work. And Biden's basically given up on it. So, but we're doing the investigation still because we're going to find out what the government knew and when. And that's why we filed this lawsuit about the Biden administration shutdown of the COVID China national security investigation. Now, to me, that would be a big deal. But the Biden Justice Department, the Biden State Department gets a free pass from the media. No one asked questions about Biden's collaboration with China when he was vice president through his son, and then any business that he was seeking and benefited from through his son after he was vice president in the interregnum between his vice presidency and his presidency. Is Biden compromised by his relationship with China because of his son's and his family's racketeering operation? Dare I say it? I think so. But we're suing. And we've already sued repeatedly. More documents are coming on Fauci, on COVID, on the vaccines. And we are second to none in actually being in court to try to get the truth about all these issues. And as I go, I want to thank you for your support of Judicial Watch. If we didn't do it, no one would. If we're not doing it, no one will.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.